All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Will Bridges from 123Trade. We're about ready to get started with this week's trading session. Assuming opportunity presents itself, I'll be making some live trades in here, put out a lot of trade ideas in here on a week-to-week basis. This year's gone pretty solid. I have cheated a little bit and used a robot. I'll show you guys that during the session here today. Assuming you guys can hear me, I just want to make sure everybody has audio. Perfect. Thanks, John. And let me make sure that I've got the screen share thing on so you guys will be able to see all the screens. Perfect. Well, we're going to go through some news. Also, I'm going to get through the calendar, give everybody an idea. If anybody is new, I know there's always new people in here. I want to make sure everybody knows what the purpose of these sessions are and really what they're for. First things first, got to cover my base. And this is a risk disclaimer. If you've been here before, you've heard me say this before. If you don't know what this is, it says if you put your money in the Forex or really any market, then your capital is at risk. You have to risk it to get the biscuit, people. No such thing as a guaranteed trade. No such thing as a guaranteed win. You'll see me trade with a stop loss or with a robot that manages stuff, whatever. But I'll get more into that detail here. If you do have questions, silence is violence. Other people probably have the same question as you. And the whole reason that I'm here is not to teach myself how to trade. I already know how to do it. So I want to make sure that you guys get what you need from this presentation. I want to make sure everybody's ready to go. Everybody's awake. Moises, Lisa, Verena, Hank, John, Mike. Mike, looks like you made it in here this week. Appreciate you sending me an email. I know last week might have been a little bit confusing. How we doing, Gary? I was on vacation last week. I went to Idaho. Not many people, for some reason, people think I'm crazy when I tell them that I went to Idaho. Like, what did you do there? If you guys aren't aware, it's one of the most beautiful places in the United States. And, very much still a free place like Florida here. So I had a great time. I went snow tubing with my nephews and built some bunk beds. But let's go ahead and get this show on the road, okay? If you guys aren't familiar, if you guys are new to this presentation, maybe you're watching the recording on YouTube, whatever the case might be, our primary function is to make sure you have an awesome Forex broker with the trading conditions that you want. It's kind of the whole point, okay? So if your broker stinks, then the rest of your trading experience isn't going to be as good. I just changed my broker myself here within the last few weeks. And, I already feel better about the world, primarily because I have different FIFO rules with this other one, and I can, open a bunch of, we'll get there. I'll show you guys in a second once we get the live charts open. But we're going to give as much. I do have a cold. Some people call it the plague. I appreciate you noticing, though. Those of you that are here all the time, I'm very nasally, so I apologize if I sound like a snot-nosed kid right now. But we'll just say that'll go away soon. I'm gonna get some sleep tonight. The market, I'll sleep with the market on Saturday. But let's get back to the task at hand here. Put my mask on. Give me a break, John. Appreciate that. But we want to make sure you guys know how to use your charts. We want to make sure that you guys know what tools actually are the most prevalent, what actually gets used the most, how to do the things you actually need to do. So you're gonna watch me start to finish. I'm gonna trade real live money, my actual money, in this trading session. So glad to have you guys here with us. We're gonna do these weekly, okay? I used to do all of these things that are on this list and go through more slides, but we're not gonna do a ton more slides. Placing your first trade. If you haven't placed a trade yet, I'm gonna show you some ideas in here. You don't have to take them, but you can. And I very much want you to understand, I'm not telling anybody to trade a specific lot size. I don't know how much money you have in your trading account. Okay, so that is something that I'll discuss. I want to make sure you guys understand equity management. That is the most important part of trading. The difference between people that make money and the people that lose it all, are the people that don't. The people that make money are the ones not risking it all every day. If you go all in your account every day, you're going to end up crying sometimes. Let's check out the economic calendar. And, a lot of people don't know where to start when it comes to trading. Do I just, look at all of the currencies? You can. That takes a long time. I'm a lazy guy myself. So the reality of the situation is I like to come here first, okay? And I'm going to pick this week. I want to see what happened because I don't really care about the news because I don't know if any of you guys have turned on the TV lately, but, well, let's just say most of it's BS, okay? So I don't really care what Fox News or CNN or anybody's going to tell me is going on with the economy. I can look right here and see exactly what the government said, okay? Not that I trust them either, but generally I would rather make up my own, what's going to move type of narrative, okay? So if we look at this here, FOMC member Bullard speaks. If we want to see what he said, all that type of stuff. Sometimes there'll be news here. Last four CPI reports show inflation is broadening. To me, that means the Fed should probably do something to combat inflation. And it seems like this guy knows it. But they haven't done anything. Nothing. Okay? Hank, a 0.01 trade, just to answer your question, that's just a micro lot position. It's the smallest position you can basically trade with. I'm not sure what leverage you have. You probably have 400 to 1, something like that. It would mean that you're going to need somewhere around like $4 or $5 to open that trade, and you get that money when you close out later. It's your initial deposit requirement is really what that is. But we'll get to that once we get to the chart. Once I show you guys a trade to open, something like that. If I want to open one, whatever, I'll explain to you guys how I pick the amount that I'm going to put into the trade. I think that'll make it a little bit easier for everybody. But essentially, they're letting inflation run wild here in the U.S. They have been. They haven't raised interest rates yet. They had an emergency meeting on Monday. They had an emergency meeting to do nothing, to come out of their emergency meeting and say, hey, we're going to stick to our plan, which is like a somewhat confusing thing to me. If they're going to say that, hey, there's a fire, we're going to let this house burn down, and then we're going to start putting water on it. Just sounds a little bit weird to me, but I don't run the world, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm expecting some movement on the dollar, okay, especially when you look at things. We're going to get into more on the dollar here. This PPI number, okay, this producer price index, that's crazy high. Okay, we're going to come down to that here in a second. Okay, monetary policy meetings in Australia. If we want to see what they're doing, we can click on this. This looks like it's low impact. Reserve Bank of Australia, board is prepared to be patient as it monitors how the various factors affecting inflation in Australia evolve. So they are doing a wait and see. They're not going to raise rates. They already told us they're not doing it until 2024 anyways. Okay, so Australia, they are not printing like the rest of the world, so there could be Aussie strength. But otherwise, this PPI number, just to show you guys, this producer price index, you guys see this big chunk, this histogram over here? You guys see that? You guys see how high inflation is? This is like the rest of life over here. Okay, it hasn't been this bunched up awful since like 2011. Okay, but you can see they reined it in a little too hard. Okay, so anything could happen. We're much tighter than it has been in the past. This crash that happened in 2008, that's a big deal. Not sure we're at that point. Really kind of hard to say. I don't think we've ever seen anything exactly what we're looking like. That's kind of the fun of trading. But I do think that there's going to be movement on the dollar. Okay, so I am going to look at dollar pairs today, just solely based on the fact that there's crazy high inflation, and inflation means that the value of money is going to change, which essentially means it'll move. So I'll look at it, and I'll probably try to do it on things that are, not also on this list. Okay, so if we go ahead and look at retail sales, that's a super strong number. That's good. This is why they're coming out telling us that the economy's strong. Retail sales are great. A lot of this could be just because prices are higher, so people, still want to eat and do all the things. So, that could be a driver for this retail sales number. Could be a lot of things. Okay, could have been a great time to buy a car in February or January, whatever. So, got to keep in mind, there are a lot of things that affect every major economy. Australia, increase in jobs, and it looks like a little bit more than they anticipated. They were expecting a flat month. That's still not as good as what they did last month. But if you look at jobs, okay, in Australia, this is usually very controlled. You know, this is really just, I think, a factor. This previous massive jump here is a factor of reopening. Okay, unemployment rate pretty low, 4.2%. You look at that, you compare to the rest of the world. You know, 4.2 unemployment rate is solid. Okay, so moving on, let's look at next week real quick, just so we can see if we can get a little canary in the coal mine. New Zealand is going to be coming out with their cash rate, looks like on Tuesday. Probably some movement there. I might look at the NZD USD. Okay, preliminary GDP, that's a very impactful number as well. Previous was 6.9%. That's crazy high. Okay, crazy high. I don't really see it being as high. Personally, I don't know how there couldn't be weakness on the dollar right now if they're not going to raise rates, but we're going to look at the charts and we're going to confirm. I'm just looking at this to give myself an idea of what I want to trade. I probably want to look at the Euro NZD, probably want to look at the USD NZD, might look at the Aussie. Aussie New Zealand might be fun. So let's go ahead and get over some charts. Okay, I'm going to pull this up here. And full disclosure, I am running this Active Trader Max robot. So you guys know what some of you know what that is, some of you don't. This is what the actual system looks like, just to show you guys real quick before I get into a bunch of manual stuff. This runs on the 15-minute chart. So it is a scalper. And, you know, just to let you guys know, I mean, this is a small account you're watching me trade. We started with 500 bucks in here to start this year. My equity is at 633 right now. Okay, so I've got basically a mini lot open right now on just this NZD Swiss. I'm not super comfortable with that. This morning when I woke up, I was running this on the USD JPY and the Euro NZD. So I closed out some of those positions. It has done very well for me. But the one thing that you want to pay attention to if you're going to run a robot, doesn't matter which one it is that you don't get overextended. You don't want to be overexposed. Okay, so this morning when I woke up and I was like, oh, hey, I've got a mini lot open in the USD JPY. I've got another one in the Euro NZD. I dumped all of these, okay, because I don't want that level of exposure. I want my account to be more boring than that. Best way to put it. I don't want to think about this. This weekend, I want to watch movies. I don't want to do a damn thing. You guys have already, laughed at me for my nasally voice today. I don't want to think about any of this stuff on Sunday or any of that. Okay, so I want to make this very stress-free for myself. Okay, this is the Euro NZD we're looking at. NZD Swiss is the one I'm actually in right now. You guys can see I got in 4 times there. We're not going to mess with jumping into that one anymore. But I am using $134 worth of my margin to run these. So, you guys are going to be a little bit more lucky depending on where you are. If you're in Canada, then you're going to have more money than that in a mini lot. So the important part is that this usable margin, okay, that's all the money that I need for my stop loss. So if that usable margin gets too small, then I will get margin called and they'll just they'll just close out all of my trades as losers immediately. And that's it. So let's find some trades. Let's find something new. I already closed out my overextension stuff. I've got fractals on this chart. Crunch this down. This is probably scary looking for some of you guys. Let's go to the all-time frame. And I mentioned I wanted to look at the Aussie. We'll do that one first. Clear all this stuff out. This one looks fun. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these fractals. There's lots of really neat indicators in the world. Fractals is just so you guys know what those are. It's going to find highs and lows. As soon as the chart confirms a high or a low, it's going to draw the fractal. Okay, so if you don't have a confirmed high, then there's no little dot. That's really all that is. And a lot of trading systems are going to use that as an entry strategy, exit strategy, stop loss, whatever. So it's a very neat thing. 170 euros, is it possible that I do not get leverage? You're definitely going to get leverage no matter what the size of your account is. So, I mean, Hank, in your situation, if you open a 0.01, for example, that's a 1,000 euro position. If your account is in euros, that is. That would be a 1,000 euro position that you open for, a couple of euros. So you should get leverage regardless. But I'll more than likely, we'll see. I'll probably have a trade on this chart. I'm gonna get rid of the fractal thing, make this a little cleaner. Okay, I'm gonna crunch this down. I want to look at as much information as I can in as small space as possible. And the reason why is because I want to find out what the long-term trend is, because that's more important in my brain. You know, who's holding for years? You know, if the bank is going to hold for the next 10 years, that means that we might be on a bullish trend for the next 10 years. So that's something very important in my brain is, you know, who's going to be, what are the major players going to do? And that's what this M chart is, this monthly chart. What are the major players going to do? Okay, so this is our little megaphone we've got on this Aussie USD. I've got some really somewhat of an upward trend here. Okay, maybe sideways, more upward though than anything, especially on the top. Okay, so that already gives me a little bit of a bias to the north, at least in the long term. I'm going to draw a couple of counter trend line breaks because this is, you know, more or less what happened for many years. Okay, you guys, let's make sure that we're clean on this second one here. I'm gonna get rid of that one and redraw it. I want to make sure that I did this right, because this does seem like it's a trade opportunity depending on how I draw this. Now we're below it because I drew it right. Yeah, there is an inner trend line as well. I want to make sure that I don't cut any corners on here with you guys while I do this. I'm always going to go left to right with this stuff. There's an inner line here. Okay, there's also another inner line here. Okay, so the tendency with trend lines is that if you create an inner trend line, you're likely to move towards the outer trend line. Okay, so that's really what I'm going to expect. That doesn't mean that this is going to go up necessarily forever, but it does mean that it's probably going to tap this line at some point. And that'll happen a lot faster if it does come up. Okay, so that said, I'm long-term bullish, really kind of sideways right now, and we're at a low price. Okay, so that's really what it's all about. It doesn't matter what I think. Okay, we've talked about a lot of stuff in here. The only reason we're on this chart is because there's announcements on it, and you know, things are going fairly well. There's announcements on the USD, and you know, things are going fairly well, but mostly because they are afraid. They're afraid to raise the interest rate. They're afraid to taper off of the quantitative easing, the $120 billion that they print every month. Yes, that's still happening all over the world. Global debt is 281 trillion. It's not just us here in the US, it's everywhere. Okay, so that is the one saving grace, is that every government is kind of, you know, letting it fly. So that makes war less likely, which I think is why all this stuff is happening. But it doesn't matter what I think. Once again, it matters what we can protect. Okay, so now that we're on the lower time frame, okay, this is a downtrend. Does anybody know why? Does anybody know? I'm gonna give you guys a hint. I'm gonna show you guys that there. You guys see that? Doesn't look like we've broken that, have we? So we got a trend line that started, looks like a long time ago. We're talking about all the way back in February of 2021, so a year ago. The trend has been down for a year. Okay, so as much thinking as I've done and as much talking as I've done, this is a downtrend just based on that. We can clear out everything else that I did. Okay, I will want to be a little bit apprehensive to take it very far down, because I am long-term bullish on this, and I could build this position and trade it for the next year. But you guys probably want to win a trade this week. So do I. So since I know that this is a downtrend, just based on this one line right here on the daily time frame, we're below it. You know, this becomes an uptrend as soon as, at least as far as what I've been taught, what I know about trading, this becomes an uptrend when that happens. Okay? Lower lows, lower highs, you're exactly right, Gary. You're exactly right. And I'll show everybody what you're talking about. Here's a high, and here's a lower one, and the lower one. You guys get the point. Lower lows. Okay, so that's really what our pattern has been. Okay, so I don't want to necessarily go against the grain just because I think that I'm smart. That's really what this is about. And, you know, we've had a great year so far. I think I've lost maybe 3 or 4 trades. You know, that doesn't mean I'm going to win all of them. Okay, so I've got a couple of options here. Okay, I could look for a sell right now. Okay, I could come down to a lower time frame, see if there's maybe a better opportunity. This looks kind of ugly, though, in my opinion. If we're going to be real about this, I might just go look somewhere else if I can't find a good place to manage my risk. But more than likely, I'm going to set up a pending order in this type of situation. Or I could do a scalp, okay? Because we're at the 382, so I can't necessarily scalp back to my 382 from my extension here. I already missed that opportunity. If anything, if there's anything I want to do, it's probably sell in this situation. That being said, where's a good place to do that? Okay, so let's get a mark here on our current market prices. The easiest thing to mark, okay? You guys need a point of reference. Okay, so there's our blue line. That's our current market price. Usually I like to have my stop loss. I'll make this line red here. I like to have it outside the range. Okay, so my odds of getting hit are much less likely outside of my AB boundary. Okay, so because there's a previous high there. The market already turned and went the other way before I got to that price. Okay, we haven't been to this red level that I just drew here since, I don't know, last summer. Okay, so I'm not going to sit and sweat about my stop loss getting hit every day, and that's kind of the point. I don't want to be, worried about my stop loss getting hit. Oh my gosh. It's not a big deal. Okay, and the reason why it's not going to be a big deal is because I'm not going to overtrade it. The place where I would want to get out would be at the extension level. Okay, and currently we are in a red level here, right in the meat of this range. That might mean that we're going to come to our red level below. Okay, so from current market price, this is not a terrible trade. It's not a great one, but it's not a terrible trade. I can improve my profitability on this position, give myself more variance. Kind of depends on how much money you've got to do it with. I'm going to show you guys here in a second. Okay, but we're looking for 537 pips. This is a huge move that I'm looking for. Odds of that happening, in my opinion, probably a lot lower than something like this move if I were to come to inside my range. Okay, so I don't necessarily have to do a lot of things. Okay, if I want to reel this in and I just want to take this consolidation trade, maybe we work on a low here. I've got a couple previous highs. This is more of just a straight up trend trade. Okay, that might be something that makes more sense for me. Might make more sense for you, primarily because if we lose this trade, we can live to trade another day pretty easily. It'll execute much faster. The odds of me actually hitting the prices I want are much better. If I go ahead and clear out my Fibonacci that's in here, we dump this thing here, if I can get it to go away. There we go. I'm just going to add in my smart resistance above here. Okay, so I've got 3 resistance levels above. Okay, as far as support goes, I can add those on here too, smart support. Okay, there's a good number 4 of those before we get to my actual price that I want to hit. Okay, so this is kind of in my opinion, it's an okay trade. In reality, I'd rather come back and trade this at another time. The other option is if I want to expand my stop loss above here and enter it twice, but we're in the kind of the meat of this range. So I'm just going to pass. As much as we've done looking at this, if you don't feel great about it, then you can pass too. You don't have to do a damn thing. Okay, there's a lot of other stuff to look at. Aussie New Zealand's a favorite one of mine. This looks like a much more fun trade to maybe take. Let's clear all this stuff out. Go to the all-time frame. The reason why I like this one is because they manipulate together down under, and they stay nice and tight. Okay, this is the last few years down here. This is what they've been doing since, I don't know, since I started trading. Really all the way back here in 2014. So this has just been in this range. Any reason why it should come out of it? Maybe, maybe not. It does look like it's getting tighter. Like we're working our way towards the middle type of deal. Okay, so does it look like we could be at a potential high right now? Yeah, the answer is maybe. Let's come down to the week. Okay, we're gonna get this pound yen in here next, Phil. I didn't see that, sorry. This looks like we're getting a bearish hammer, or charting software is going to call it a shooting star, but to me that looks like a hammer. I guess the shooting star is kind of a combination of things. But that basically means that if it closes like it is right now, then this could come down a lot for many weeks. This might be a fantastic trade. And we're at a place where the market's turned around before. You know, if I get rid of my outer lines here, because I basically look at this as a sideways pair all the time. The lower you get on the time frame, though, the better the trends are, and that's kind of the whole point. Okay, so that's where our market has turned a few times in the past. So I think it may be a good opportunity for us to find a place to sell, especially considering we're at somewhat of a high price. Okay, so where might I want to get out? We've got lots of signals up here. Bearish evening stars. Okay, you guys see that? Lots of candlestick patterns up there to be very excited about. The one thing that I'm not as excited about is that we haven't broken this trend. Okay, so we are calling a top in this scenario. We're above that trend. You guys see that? We're absolutely calling a top. If I sell this right now, it'll be because I decided that there was a top. Okay, and you know, me deciding things is usually something I like to stay away from. But that being said, we'll keep moving down. This does look like we could get a little bit of a retrace. I do want to check one thing real quick here. I want to see if I'm at an extension level with my Fibonacci's from the bottom. Okay, let me crunch this down a little bit and get a fresh one in here. Let go. All right, there we go. I got locked on there with the. All right, so this does look like on our 4 hour that we might have some gas in the tank. Okay, so I could place a sideways trade because we're at a low price. It's been falling for days. So it could come down a lot more. Could do a lot of things. You know, if we look at this on the day chart, we might see different levels here. The day chart's kind of my favorite, 4 hour a day. You know, right now we're looking at the day chart, and this is looking like, hey, we could come down and tap this 382. The interesting thing is it's already done that. Okay, so this is another one that I kind of missed it. And I unfortunately, you know, I hate showing all these no trades, but you guys need to learn. No trade is a real thing. I'm not here to come in here and place trades I don't like. And I hope you guys don't do that either. Let's come down to the all time frame. This is the monthly chart we're looking at. This is everything. Okay. And I always like to work left to right. You guys have seen me do this a few times, but this time I'm going to do something a little different on this high time frame. Okay. Really, I want to pay attention to what's going on with our box. Okay. Where's our range? This is our range that we're living in right now. And I picked that level primarily because this is our current range, this right here. Okay, you guys see that? That big drop there, that's our AB. That's our most recent AB that we're stuck in right now. I'm gonna dump that line, you don't need it. A lot of that is where, you know, Brexit happened. Okay, so in my brain, I think that this is really where we're gonna live. Doesn't necessarily give me a trade idea right now. So if I wanna come to a lower time frame, I can clear this out. A lot of you might actually look a little bit more nearer term. And maybe you're just looking at post-Brexit, okay? Because this is really post-Brexit. This is the after-Brexit movement that we've got here. Need to get another rectangle tool on here. This is another rectangle we can draw. And this is kind of where the actual referendum got passed, was from this price. Okay, this is where, I don't know, this is, I guess, in my opinion, this is going to be a time where we really figure out, are they going to push the pound up? Is the world going to get scarier? If the world gets scarier, that usually means JPY strength. And right now they're arresting Canadians for protesting in Ottawa. There's a lot of people in the US actually funding that whole venture, which I guess makes the Canadian government more upset. I don't know how things are really going in Europe. I mean, if you guys have any input, are things more or less stable where you live? All of you guys in here are living all over the world. I think I'm the only American in this session. Okay, so is where you're living more or less stable as far as, you know, the overall sentiment? Are people worried about COVID? If somebody like me with a cold walks into the grocery store, are they going to run for the hills? Like, it's really something that you need to be more stable. That's actually good news, Lisa. I feel like it is here. But end of the day, I feel like it may not be in Canada based on what I've seen. Gary's telling me lots of unrest in Europe. Media like to keep it low key. So let's come down to the lower time frame. Because it doesn't really matter what we think. I appreciate you guys sharing. You know, as much as I less stable, I feel like it really is here in the US too. Well, I mean, primarily because it doesn't seem like the Fed's doing anything about inflation. Okay, we are at this high price. This is where the referendum, this is where we saw a massive fall, was from this price. So if anything, I might just look to stay in this range here. I'll make another box, just work our way down. We got another range here, okay? I keep picking these because there's highs and lows on this box. So if I can protect this trade, I actually like this one. I'm gonna place this one here, people. Good things come to those that wait. Thank you, Phil, for the idea. So here's where I might put my stop loss, right above. Okay, so I've got risk reward. Here's my blue. This is a sideways trade. This is about as basic as it gets. You guys watched me draw 3 rectangles on this chart. Okay, so I'm not doing any magic. All I did was look for something where I had highs and lows and a place where I can manage my risk. If we get above that price, this is above our pre-Brexit price, I want out. Period. So that's a great place for me to do that. And if it falls, hey, we've already hit the bottom of this box a bunch of times. There's other lower prices we could hit too. So reality of the situation, okay, I picked this box because of these prices below here. Sorry, I didn't mean to grab that. We get more circles on here, but the market hits this price a lot. Let's lock this tool up. Sorry. Okay, we have highs on the top. We've got 3 of them already. Okay, so if I know that this price gets hit and the one at the bottom gets hit, I'm gonna expect it to get hit again. That's really it. Really it. It doesn't necessarily have to come this far. You know, I moved this line here by accident, but I can come right back to the meat of this market. I don't have to go to the bottom. The reason why, because, well, last time it fell, it went to this price. Maybe it'll do it again. There's lots of turnarounds right in the middle of here. I really just want to try to get a 2-to-1 on my money. So if I look at this and I measure, and this is 195 pips at risk, and I want to try to get 350 pips, that sounds like a party to me, people. Okay, so this one's going to be relatively wide. So 350 be my limit. This is going to be a live market order. I know I'm trading this from the daily chart, and I know people get real nervous about stuff like that. I'm going to dump this lot size here. This is the most important part of the trade. Make this a 0.01. Okay, and I'll tell you why here in a second. I'm going to measure my risk here one more time, make sure I got the right number. Okay, this is 188 pips to my stop loss level that I've got drawn on there. Okay, so if I put a 0.01 here, I'm essentially going to be risking 10 cents a price interest point. So about $18, $19 on this trade. Okay, so if you're okay with $18 or $19, then that might be something that you do. If that represents, you know, a very large portion of your equity, then you may not want to do that. You may want to trade on a smaller time frame and look for a scalp trade maybe. Because this is very much a swing. This is not something I'd expect to happen today. This is something I would expect to take days, because if we look at this, for us to rise to this price, it usually takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're talking, you know, 15 or so daily candles. This could take 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm going to click sell. I know this could take 2 weeks. That doesn't mean I have to stay in it 2 weeks. It means I could. I might dump this on Tuesday, because you can't go broke taking a profit. So far, that's very much what I've been doing. I come in this session on Fridays. I open stuff. I'll show you guys the ones that are not the Active Trader Max. Okay, so these are all not the Active Trader Max. These are all manual trades I placed in here. Okay, I let them run for a few days. I make money. I dump them. If I'm losing and I feel like it's going to get worse, I dump them. I usually just do that on Tuesdays. Some of them I let it run for weeks. Kind of depends on what it is, what's going on, how strong I feel about it, how exposed I am is actually really the biggest thing. If it's something that I'm exposed and I could lose a lot of money, a large percentage of my account, the last thing I want to do is come into this session and tell you guys, oh, sorry guys, I made a bad decision and I blew out my trading account I'm teaching you to trade with. How many of you guys want to come back next week? No, absolutely not. This is not a lot of money, but this is more stressful than my regular account that I trade for myself, to put it lightly. So I want to make sure that, you know, I take money when I can get it. I know exactly, you know, well, I know for one thing, there's not going to be a lot of news that comes out over the weekend. Okay, so, you know, if I'm winning big on Sunday, I'm out. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We're in this pound yen. I've already got this robot loading me in. I got to be cognizant of the fact that I'm still using, I've got $463 in this account that I can still use to open more trades. And for stop loss, I'm using 160 right now on roughly, you know, 1.1 mini lots. Okay, so equity wise, things are solid. I haven't showed you guys this. I don't think I showed you guys this. This is the FX book for this account. Okay, so profit wise for a $500 account this year, making 135 bucks in 500 and a $500 account. So if you're not happy with that, then you quit trading, because you will get yourself in trouble and you're going to blow out your account. I don't know how else to put it. But the win rate in this has been amazing so far. Looks like I've lost, you know, 3-4 trades out of 40. So 90%, pretty solid. I feel pretty good about that. And this, if I keep doing things like this all year, there's going to be a lot more money in this account by the end of the year. Okay, so I do have active ones right now that we're showing you guys. We're going to go and move on. We're going to get to the next pair, and just to bring myself back here, we'll look at next week forecast. Let's take a look at the NZD. Let's look at the pound New Zealand. We actually liked the pound JPY. Let's look at the pound New Zealand. GBP, NZD. This one looks like it's making a top here. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Let's come to the, at least not in this chart. Let's crunch this thing down. I'm going to do the same thing. All these, I want you guys to understand, you don't want to skip steps. Okay, and when I say skip steps, you think the Euro NZD is a great sell, then this one might be too. I think I agree with you. I think that's part of the New Zealand prediction that I made that seems to have gone sideways for a few days. This looks real sexy to me. You go, what do you guys think? This looks like a great sell opportunity in my brain. It seems like the market may go sideways some more. We're at a low price. I don't know how else to put it. Some people might look at this and say like, oh, that's the real trend line. That's really what the trend line is. But it's not. We hit these higher prices above here. Okay. This is actually really where the outer limits of our prices are. That's where it actually is. This looks like a channel downward, because it has been for the last 20 years. Come down to the week. And the reason why I really like this is because we're close to the line already. We're already making a pretty nice U here. And the reality of the situation, do we have other highs? Is there a reason why the market would turn right here? Because it has before? Let's look, okay? And the answer is yes. This is Brexit right over here. Same thing I showed you guys on the pound JPY, but this is where Brexit happened right here. This is where the referendum passed. That's it, right there at this price. Okay, so this is an impactful one. Does Britain's pound deserve to be worth more post-Brexit? It's turned around before. We've been to this price a couple times. We're really 1 for 2 on this. Okay, well actually really, if you count the original referendum, we're 2 for the last 3. Okay, so I'm looking at this supply zone, demand zone, right here, that I think we can come back to. So I'm going to sell this bad boy, and I'm going to do it in a hurry. I'm going to come down to the 4 hour. I'm looking at this magnet. We're at kind of a low price. So this one I may be a little bit more cavalier than you guys saw me in the other one, just because I like this trade. I feel like we're at a much more impactful high price. And the other thing that we have going for us on this one, we didn't have on the other pairs I looked at earlier. We've got a high here, okay? And we've got a lower one. So this is a downtrend at the top of this big uptrend. We've got hundreds of pips down to our demand zone. We've got 300 pips, 290. Okay, so for me to get back into this place where the market pinballed like crazy, and we've also got a price pocket. Okay, price pockets are faves of mine. You guys know about the price pocket. I'll draw this W for you guys. Okay, so this is a big one. You know, Will was here. Okay, and now what I'm going to look for is this cute little tail, my cursive W, because that's usually what the market likes to do. It might actually come even further than that. Okay, so I could do a lot of things on here. I really just want to make sure that I protect my risk no matter what I do, because we are at a low price right now, and this thing could rebound on me, and I could dig for the rest of the day, all of next week, for a while. Okay, my stop loss, I want it to be above my, where I decided that we've got a couple previous highs here. So we are in a downtrend in my mind. I might tighten that up to my most recent high if I want to be more conservative. But this is where I was aiming. Okay, it was really just at the top of this level here. Okay, some traders are going to look lower than that. I think aiming at 2 is pretty far away anyways. I don't necessarily need to go further. Okay, so I'm going to pull a Fibonacci on here. Make sure I'm not just being, well, I'm going to generally use a lot of trading strategies in here, so I apologize if I confuse anyone, but I want to be as conservative as possible all the time. Okay, so this is not a trade that I would want to take with this risk reward ratio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to a lower time frame. We're going to get low, low, low. Okay, I'm going to tighten this thing up, maybe the 1 hour. And I'm going to enter this thing multiple times, okay, because I don't want to miss, but I do want to get in several times. This is the 1 hour chart, looking kind of sideways. Let's come down to the 15. Let's look for a scalp. We broken out yet? We have not yet broken out. This thing is moving down though, very much. This is a downtrend. You guys see this here? Well, we're below that. Oh, didn't mean to grab the chart there. Sorry. Guess I double clicked. We're under that. Okay, so if we break above that, I want out. So what I'm going to do if I'm scalping this, okay, if I want to assume that this trend is going to continue down, then I'm going to tighten up. Okay, if we get above that line, stop me out. I want out of Dodge. Okay, and that trade looks much more appealing than risking twice as much as I'm planning to get. Okay, we also just broke out down here. Okay, so this is a fresh low that we just created right here. And some of you guys are going to be breakout traders. Some of you guys are going to, trade the retrace. Some of you are going to do both. A lot of strategies work. Okay, the number one thing that works is not putting all of your eggs in one basket. It's called diversification. All of you have heard that word, and that's a big part of my life. It should be of yours too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place this trade. I'm going to show you guys more or less how much money I'm going to risk. 107 pips to try to get 200. Sounds like a party. So we'll say 107, trying to get 200. Okay, I'm going to risk 10 bucks. $10. Actually a little bit less. I think it's probably like 8 on this one to try to get something like 16. Okay, so I'm not going to cry if I lose $8. I hope none of you will either. If you want to trade it bigger, you could. If you don't want to trade it at all, don't. You already watched me pass on 2 trades in this session. So let's get to this Euro NZD. Let's get this show on the road, peeps. I really like this one. This pound New Zealand seems to be aggressively moving down. Euro NZD, if that one's at a good price, then hey, this might be just a real easy one to find. You think a sell here, Phil? Let's come to the month. I think that you're right. Let's see. We got a nice hammer happening on here. But let's go. Let's draw some stuff. Okay, we're at a low price right now. So that is one thing that you may want to be concerned about in this type of situation. We are at a low. But the thing that means is that we're also at a downtrend. So actually, let's just do this. I haven't shown you guys this yet. This is I just pulled a fib. This is the 1 month time frame. You guys see what we're bouncing off right now? we're bouncing off. We're testing that AB boundary. We've already tested it a few times. The market, tried to move up in there. We've been very aggressively pushed down from the 236. We still haven't even made it back to our 382. So long term, this is really where I would expect the market to go, the middle, because that's what things do. They usually work their way back towards the mean, the average. You guys have ever heard the term regressing towards the mean? That's what that is. Okay, so I think we may be headed there long term. That does not mean that I think that, Europe's going to be super strong compared to New Zealand or anything like that, but that's our uptrend we've been on for the last 7 years. Okay, so I do think that this is a sell trade right now. I haven't looked at the lower chart though, so that's a much more important part of this process than I'm giving credit for. So right now, this is the week. Is there sound in here? Can you guys hear me? Siva, can you hear me now? Marco? Yes, you guys got it? Polo, that's what I'm talking about, Tim. Somebody got it. I don't know if I was starting to think that that's just like an American kid game. But then I watched that movie, that show on Netflix, Squid Game, primarily just because I think I read some articles that some people got persecuted for watching it. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to watch it. But apparently everybody plays the same kids' games everywhere in the world. I showed you guys a W here earlier. Let's come here. This is another one. Okay, right here. You guys see this? Okay, and this is our little cute tail that I talked about. Came down to tap this price pocket that happens right in the middle of these W formations. There's one right there. This might actually be a buy, and I'm not 100% sure what direction anything's going to go ever. No one is. Okay, that's why there's money to be made in trading, because if you could tell 100% of the time, well, let's just say, let me know how you're doing it. But what I want to see, this may actually be a buy, and it actually might be a really good hedge for me versus my pound trade that I just made. So I could lose one, win the other, and make money anyways. So looking at this, it does look like a potential opportunity for me to buy very soon. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a trend line here, see if we've got a little bit of a break. It does look like we do. We've got a heck of a tip on this thing. Okay. That's more or less what my trend is. Okay. So we've broken out. We're looking up. We've already tested the backside. For me, I think this is a buy. And primarily because I can manage the risk with the buy situation. That's really what I'm looking for most, is can I manage my risk? Because it doesn't matter what I think. As much as I would love to just be right all the time, I'm not. At least not about making trades. Most other things, I'm right all the time. Ask my girlfriend. Actually, that's not true. She's right all the time. She's always right. Sweetheart, if you listen to this, I was just making a joke with my friends. But this is essentially the risk reward I'd be looking for on this trade. Looks pretty epic to me. I've got outside of we're on the daily time frame too, from a Fibonacci standpoint. This looks pretty good, in my opinion. And it's really just about risk reward. That's a 430 pip risk though. I don't know if anybody's ready to take that on. I may not want to go that heavy. So let's come down to the 4 hour. I may actually just wait until this thing gets down here. Let's set a pending order on this thing. Let's get in right at that time. I'm going to negotiate with the market. Okay, we're at the bottom of this AB boundary right now. Let me see if we've got a trend line break on this lower side. That might be another thing to be paying attention to, because we do have a trend line break. This is why you zoom in, people. Okay, we've got a little bit of a trend line break here. That doesn't necessarily mean that this is a buy or a sell. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear this out, because this is getting ugly. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to simplify this equation for me. last time we had a lot of indecision in the market, and the market couldn't figure out what to do. Kind of like what most people are going to do before they make a decision. They're going to try to figure out what to do. That's what this area is here. Okay, the last time everybody figured out what to do in this price zone, the market went up a lot. Okay, it went up a lot. It went up 500 pips. The last time the market was at this price level and everybody was like, yeah, up or down, up or down, up or down. Then it went up 500 pips. Okay, so what I'm going to expect is that we may come back and test that area. Okay, that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to be as conservative as I can in any trade that I make. Hopefully later today, Syed. If not today, then it kind of depends on how quickly I can get the video edited and do all that fun stuff. But yeah, as far as this trade goes here, I want to be as conservative, and really any trade, I want to be conservative. I want to get in where the market's turned before. The market has turned at the price we're at now. Okay, right over here. Circle this for you guys. You know, I love to come in here and place like 50 trades for you guys, but I mean, I also want you guys to understand that like there's really no reason to do that some days. You know, if there's a great opportunity on a lot of charts, then I'm gonna do things. I'm gonna buy stuff. I'm gonna sell things. That's just how it is. But right now, I'm not really looking at that. So I want to make sure you guys understand. The most important thing for you to understand is managing your risk and knowing when to stay out and how to keep yourself from being overexposed. So what I'm going to look for here, just to show you guys, I'm going to set a pending order, because if the market gets down to this level where it went up 500 pips last time, I want to buy. I think it feels like a good idea to do that. And I very likely could take this thing higher, may trade it sideways, okay? Because this is really another big area over here. I'm just gonna draw boxes on here, because my job is really just look for patterns, okay? That's why there's so many different trading strategies. It's because there's a lot of patterns in the world, okay? A lot of them. All these currency crosses are gonna have different ones. So I want to get out of the places where the market has turned before. That's really the most important part. And as you sit and you think through this stuff, try to keep it simple. That's where I want to get out. Market bounces, I want to get out. Because there's another area of indecision that happened here. And when everybody finished, you know, losing their mind for a few days, up, down, up, down, up, down, it decided to fall a lot. Okay, so the reality of the situation is this area up top looks like somewhere I'd want to sell from. This area down bottom is somewhere I'd want to buy from. And if I go back further, that's true with this big box I've got. So that's really the pattern that I'm looking at. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for patterns. That's why I use so many strategies. I've seen a million of them. I've been working at Market Trader since 2014. We make a new strategy every 2 weeks, it seems like. So I use all of them. I don't know how else to put it, but I'm really just looking for a pattern. That's really what this is. Okay, so this market gets down here, I want in. Simple to the point, right? And I got lows. So I got solid risk reward. If we get down there, let's go ahead and measure our risk reward to 275 pips. I'm going to risk 135, 140 to get it. Let's do it. 135. I will say 145. I'll be less cavalier and be real conservative. When I say conservative, I mean I don't want to get popped. I'll invest in my stop loss. That's really what that is. So 259. Not a 2-to-1, but pretty close. Pretty awesome in my mind. If we get to that price, I definitely want to buy at that price. So I did do that on the wrong side though. I do need to set up a pending order to do this. So I click the pending tab over here, change this to a pending buy. I got to type in my price that I'm doing it at, 1.6789. It even sounds like a fun price. Come down here. I want my stop. We said 145. And I'm going to look for, say, 255. Okay. Now I click place. I'm setting my bear trap for the market. If the market steps in that price, I'm going to grab on and buy. That's my plan. So I don't need to do anything with this anymore. I can literally just let it ride. Here we go. My biggest challenge is to locate entry point. Live candle is market entry, but live candle may confuse direction. Easiest way to locate an entry as a scalper. Okay, so for example, on this current chart that we're looking at right now, okay, I'm going to clear out all this stuff. Okay, I'm going to draw a quick line here. This is our 4-hour time frame. You're always going to want to know at least the 4-hour daily trend. Okay, so as far as being a scalper goes, on this one, I'm going to dump down to the 15-minute chart. Because if I want to scalp, then I want to be in for a very short period of time. So that could be, today, could be later, whatever. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to pull a Fibonacci from the top of this range here, and we're at the extension level right now, roughly. Okay, so if I want to enter, there's a couple of different ways I might do it, but my favorite is really just to trade back to the 382. This one's real short, so I come up to my most recent range here. I'm going to pull a fib here. Okay, this is the downstroke, so I would want to buy back to the 382, and then I would be out because this is a downtrend. Okay, so this is a very short term. This is not going to be a long trade. There's no big money in this one, but that's what scalping is about. Let's go ahead and get a blue line on here. This is our current price. Okay, I really only want to take it back to the 382. Okay, and I want to be outside of this range. I need a green line here where we can rip the tape on life. That's right up here. Okay, so if we come down to an even lower time frame, you guys will be able to see this a little bit more cleanly, what I'm actually doing. If I come down to the 1 minute, this is something that you're going to watch Money TV and stare at your charts all day. This is where you might come. Okay, but that's really it. Okay, I look at the day, I look at the 4-hour, I look for what the long-term trend is. I decide if I'm trading against it or towards it. If I'm trading with the trend, I'm going to look to hit extensions. If I'm trading against it, I'm only trading back to the 382, and that's really it. And here, this particular trade, this looks big because this is the 1 minute chart. I'm trying to get 30 pips, and I'm going to risk 17. Okay, so this is a buy. I'm going to risk 17 pips, so I could risk $1.70 on this if I wanted to. I can show you guys right now. I'll just do it. So if I do a 0.03 here, let's go back over to the market orders, because I've got a pending order at a lower price. It's a trade that I'm more excited about, if we're going to be real. But I can risk very low. I'm more excited just because it's a bigger move. That's really it. And I don't know, I'm kind of, there's a lot of vanity in winning a lot of pips. But that said, there's still money in getting small pips and, winning. So all those things said, okay, if I do a 0.03 here, I'm not going to risk this many pips, okay? So I'm going to be risking something like 18 pips. I'm going to try to get 30, I think is what I said here. Let's measure this one more time. Let's make sure. Yeah, we'll say 30. Okay, so I'm going to try to make, $9, and I'm going to risk 5 or 6. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on buy. We're in like Flynn. Nothing else to be done. And actually, I want to make sure that I exit this trade, so I may actually pull this down a little bit. I could lose this quickly, or I could win it quickly. That's the cool part about scalping. I don't have to win all the time. I just have to find 2-to-1 type of opportunities so that I can, come out net positive. That's really what this is. And I've got a little bit of a higher high here. So this could come up just as likely as anything else. This is a counter trend move, though. That's why I'm only taking it to the 382. But that said, I hope I answered a lot of questions for you guys in here today. This year's gone very well. We've got a lot of open trades right now. I'm pretty flat on all these, actually. But this year has gone great so far. If you guys really like coming to these presentations, if you guys want me to keep doing them, I got promoted at the company months ago. They don't want me to do any of this stuff anymore because let's just say I have a lot of responsibility. I'm managing a lot of customer relation type of stuff and nurture campaigns, how to help, mass scale everybody at MTI figure out what they're doing a little bit faster. Okay, so if you guys like these, then please give me a review on, if you go to 123Trade, if you just Google it, not on our website. I need to figure out an easier place for you guys to do this. But if you just Google it, you come here, Google reviews is over here. I'm gonna copy this link, I'll put it in here. If you guys give me a 5-star review, then they'll probably let me keep doing these. Because right now I kind of do this in spite of what people want. Because I like you guys, and I get a lot of joy from doing these trading sessions. And it's fun. It's way more fun than the hour of meetings I would have been in so far today. But if you guys don't mind, quick review would be great. Makes it a lot easier for me to justify this to people. And not you guys. Keep telling the boss you like working with us. I have been. That's why I'm still here, Gary. But if, like I said, if you guys haven't already, I know a lot of people have already, hook me up with a review. I'll try to get the recording up for you guys as soon as I can. There'll be, hopefully in the, if you're not in the Facebook group, anybody in here not in the Facebook group or in the Discord server, I'm gonna go ahead and get you guys the link to the Facebook group. I posted videos in there. They're also on our website. Let me go ahead and see if I can find this group. I hate Facebook. Discord is really, I think, neat, but not enough people are in there. There's the Facebook group. I prefer the Discord thing, if we're going to be real, because I'm just not a Mark Zuckerberg fan for a lot of reasons. Mostly because we didn't vote him into anything, and he has a lot of power. Is that jealousy talking, or is that just I don't know. We'll continue. He's just too involved in our election process for me to trust him, because I don't really like his political point of view. Yeah, Phil, you're good, bro. I know you already gave me one. Did I just click Discord? Is it opening? I just want to share this link with you guys real quick. I posted a couple trade ideas in there earlier this week. USDJPY was one of them. I actually made some money on that one. It was a good one. But I think we are pushing sideways right now. I put a link in the chat a second ago here to make the review. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, if you just Google 123Trade like that, you should find the business over here on the right. I don't know who the heck put this car here. But somebody did. Wasn't me, just so we're on the same page. But there's a button here, 29 Google reviews. You just click on it, write a review. Nice. Appreciate it, y'all. I am from the South, so we use the word y'all here. For some reason, I don't know why that's not more popular. It's like a conjunction. But we are out of time here, everybody. I appreciate everybody hooking me up with the reviews here. If you guys do need anything in particular, this Discord server is a cool place to catch up to me. I actually get notifications from here. So if you guys, I'll invite people. I'll leave this up for a second here. This link expires in a few days, so it should be good for right now. I'll put it in the chat for you guys. There's the Discord server link if you guys are not in Discord. This is really the best place because I have notifications turned off for Facebook, but I actually get them from Discord. So if you send me a direct message on here, then I'll actually respond. Most of the time, depending on what I have going on. I've had the plague for the last few days, so I've been, well, let's just say, less active than usual. So I've been cheating, trading with this robot. But thanks everybody for joining. Again, I'm Will Bridges from your team here at 123Trade. You guys have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. If you can't be good, then be good at it. Take care, folks.